over the next 15-ish minutes, you're gonna get an idea of what it's like to live with a C7 Corvette Z06. The good, the bad, the ugly, although, spoiler, there's not a whole lot of ugly. Before we go for a drive, let's hop out and take a look at how this C7 Corvette Z06 looks. Let me know what you guys think about this spec. White, black, and red is its entire theme here. Massive black splitter, a little bit of a wrap on the hood here. Looks very nice. That was about $200. We got the aftermarket wheels, red calipers with the red Z, black wrapped roof, stage 3 spoiler. I mean, regardless of what like spec you get on your C7 Z06, it's gonna look like an absolute rocket ship. Oh my gosh. Can you guys think of a better looking car than this? And the way that exhaust note sounds, unbelievable. And actually real quick, let's pop the hood and take a look under here. Very, very reliable engine under here. As long as you just do your regular maintenance, you are not gonna have any problems with this engine. LT4, supercharged V8, 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Nice little Z06 under this hood. And that engine is pushing a car that only weighs 3,500 pounds, which is arguably one of the most insane facts about the C7 Z06. 0 to 60 is claimed to be 2.95 seconds. Now, I will say, you're not going to get that unless you have a fully prepped surface. I get more like 3.5, 3.6. Ideally, if the roads are somewhat warm, because you're going to be losing traction, trust me. And the good thing that these come with seat belts, because you're probably going to want one when you drive your C7 Z06. Without further ado though, let's head out and take this thing for a drive. So when you finally buy your dream car, the C7 Corvette Z06, well, first of all, you're going to want to start by doing this. And I hope you're coming from something with at least 400 horsepower in it, because if you're going from like a Honda Civic or a Toyota Corolla to this, it will blow you away. I mean, I remember the first time I did a hard pull in the C7 Z06, it felt like my eyes were sinking into the back of my head. It is a surreal experience doing your first pull in this car. And you're also gonna feel like you're just sitting in a fighter jet. I mean, the way that this interior is just all facing you, the seats are nice and tight. You can get the competition seats in the C7 Z06. I have driven one with the competition seats. These do not have it, but regardless, you are sitting in here and you're not going anywhere, no matter how hard you corner this thing. By the way, I mean, a pull or a hard turn into the corner, you'll easily experience about an entire G-force. So I'm glad that these seats do have that support for you. And by the way, be very careful when you drive it, because you don't really realize how fast you're going until you look down. And you're only going to look down after about 2 or 3 seconds of accelerating, which means you've just gained about 40, 50 miles per hour. So the quarter mile time in this thing is 10.9 seconds, which is unbelievable. I mean, just watch this. Watch a little second gear. That is absolutely insanity. Oh my gosh. And you're gonna have some things to play around with this in this interior as well. You have your little drive mode selector right here, so if you're just trying to cruise and not really do a whole lot, I mean, is that really why you get a Z06? Probably not. You can hop into eco mode, you can hop into tour mode, but sport mode is where you're gonna have those exhaust valves open. It's gonna give you the display that's on here right now. So in this infotainment screen, that's where you're gonna be able to customize it. You can see if we scroll over here, we can select track, And that is going to be the track display. That is a very, very cool display. In fact, we'll just keep it on that display for now. But you know, there's not a whole lot of customization options in here. Really, it's going to be kind of just the exhaust valves, the drive mode, and then the gauge cluster display. But you're not playing around with like settings and stuff. When you're in a sports car, the point of the car is to drive it. And so all day, all you're gonna wanna do is just shift gears, whether you're in automatic or manual. I respect both. And you're just gonna wanna hit the gas pedal. Gotta love the shift lights in track mode as well. And that is the lovely thing about the C7 Z06. You do have the option to get a manual. We've spent a lot of time with a manual C7 Z06, and hey, whichever way you go, I respect it. You cannot go wrong with the C7 Z06. I don't understand the people that get mad at automatic owners. Like, that's ridiculous in my mind. But the manual it adds another level of experience to driving the car. And oh man, when you're in the C7 Z06 and a Mustang owner passes you, or virtually any car passes you, just the confidence of knowing you can beat the thing in a race, it's always there. A Hellcat, you're gonna beat it in a race. A GT350, you're gonna beat it in a race. C8 Corvette, you're gonna beat it in a race. I would love to see a C8 Z06 versus a C7 Z06. I have not seen a race between those two cars. But I mean, this thing, yeah, you're beating 99% of the cars you see out on the road. Honestly, probably a lot more than 99%. When you think about it, we've already seen 100 cars. I haven't seen one, aside from that GT, that would be even close to beating this thing in a race. Now, here's where the problem arises. If you buy this car and you live in a city, you're not really gonna have a good time. This is a car that needs to stretch its legs. It needs the room. It needs the opportunity. And it's really, really hard to find the opportunity to do it unless you're kind of merging onto an interstate. Even then, that only gives you about 3 seconds of time to really romp on it before you're going a speed that is going to get you into a lot of trouble. So this is a hard car to drive. Not necessarily like it takes skill. It doesn't, by the way. When you get driving this thing, you realize how good the traction control system is in this car. It's rare to find an opportunity to actually really enjoy the thing. We did take this car to the Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee, which is a very famous road. It has the most amount of turns in the shortest amount of time in the entire country, and that was fun. But still, this car shines on straight road pulls, and cornering too, but straight road pulls, that's what you want out of this thing. Oh my gosh. Wow. And you're also going to notice the brakes work phenomenal. You're not going to have an issue stopping just as fast as you're accelerating. And don't be surprised if you get a lot of attention, by the way. If you're somebody that likes to stay a little bit more low-key, this is not going to be the car for you. This thing gets a lot of attention. But arguably, the best thing about owning one of these and daily driving it is the confidence you have in the reliability of this car. As long as you solve the issue with wheels cracking on the C7 Grand Sports and Z06s, after that, you just don't have a whole lot to be worried about. In the manual ones, the clutch, I mean, even our clutch went at 20,000 miles in the manual C7 Z06, and you'll find many ownership reports of that happening. So if you get the manual, you're gonna have to worry about that a little bit. But if that's fixed, if you get an aftermarket, more reliable clutch, or if you get the automatic, once the wheel cracking issue is solved, you're good. I mean, drive the car, use it as hard as you like, and you're just not gonna have to worry about it. Guys, I drove a yellow 2019 C7 Z06 that was used as a rental for its entire life. The thing had 70,000 miles on it. Rental miles, keep that in mind, and it still drove like it was brand new. That speaks volumes to how much of a beating these can take. I mean, why would anybody buy a car like this and not drive it, you know, fun, at least every once in a while. So it's good to know that this car is holding up for what it was actually built for. By the way, if you're curious, I'm losing my voice here. That's what the tour mode display looks like, and I don't like that one bit. Sport, and a lot of C7 owners seem to really be a fan of the sport gauge cluster. I love track. I don't know if it's just because it's associated with the word track, but yeah, I don't know. That looks super, super cool. And you'll notice just a light little just tap on the throttle from a light turning red to green. You get up to speed so unbelievably fast. That's what I mean by this is a hard car to drive. You're like contained in this absolute beast that just wants to let loose, but you can't, because you want to keep your license, because you need a job and you need to get to work, unless you're a work from home business owner and you're super rich and have a lot of good lawyers on your side. I mean, then even still, it's going to be a bit iffy letting this thing loose on just, you know, back roads, because you never know what's lurking behind some side roads there. But as for the drivability of this car, you know, you would think this suspension is like super, you know, tight and firm, and it's hard to enjoy the drivability of this car. The only really issue in terms of dailying it and just kind of relaxing when you drive the car is how tight the cockpit is, how tight the seats are. It's not like to the point where you're like struggling to get comfortable, but you'll notice pretty quick that, I mean, you are set in stone here. You're planted in this position. So if you're trying to wiggle around and stretch, well, there's not, you know, a whole bunch of headroom. I mean, I'm 6 foot tall and I have plenty of headroom. Mind you, I'm sitting pretty low here. But like, you know, other than it being pretty tight and firm in terms of the seating position, everything else is fine. The bumps are not, they're not hard to handle. I mean, you'd expect it to be firm in a sports car, right? And it is, but it's not uncomfortable. And when you're just cruising, that exhaust note is not there. It's there as soon as you tap on the throttle, but it's not going to be giving you a migraine on a long road trip. So if you're concerned about that, yeah, that's not an issue. What is an issue is if this is your only car, then good luck transporting things around. I mean, this has a surprising amount of trunk space, I will say. It's just not tall. It's very wide, so any flat items, you could get a good amount of stuff in there. Not one over here. You got to do that every single time in this thing. But yeah, this is not a car where you're going to be able to like transport stuff at all. It's a two-seater, so the practicality is non-existent, and that's okay. I mean, ideally, you know, most owners will have an SUV or a Toyota Corolla, just something else with a bit more space. It's fine to pick up groceries in this or whatnot, but you're not going to be going to like Home Depot or moving stuff around. That's just, yeah, that's not going to work. Not to mention, you're not going to be too concerned about the cost of ownership in this thing either. Insurance, yeah, it's going to be more, obviously, than most cars. You're probably looking at like $250, $300, just depending on who you are, what your driving history is, what your age is. But this is a pretty mass-produced car compared to some other cars that you could be looking at. So parts costs are not that bad. I mean, a lot of the stuff from the Stingray is interchangeable with the Z06. Not everything, but some things are. Tires are going to be pretty expensive. They're 335 in width in the back, and you can run through those pretty quickly if you push it hard. But generally, just common maintenance in the C7 Z06 is not expensive, and you're not going to be doing major repairs in this car. So that's fantastic. Don't be afraid to put miles on it. This one is very low miles. It has 6,800 on it right now, and so it'll depreciate, of course, but not by a lot. The C7 Z06 is a treasured car, and so drive it a bunch. I mean, you may lose $10,000 in value if you're going crazy, driving 12,000 miles a year and you keep it for 2-3 years, but that's not a lot of depreciation, to be honest. And who knows if these things will actually maintain their value better than we think. So all in all, guys, if you're looking at a C7 Z06, you're looking at a phenomenal car to own. It's about the driving experience, and that's really the end of it. So if you have any questions about what it's like to drive this, feel free to drop it down in the comments. If you've owned a C7 Z06, leave your thoughts down below to help others decide if this is the right car for them. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.